Albert Pujols is going to the Los Angeles Dodgers? Seemed a little weird to me, but hey, the machine, the absolute legend, is shifting cities in LA and is now a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I actually wanted to bring in Pedro Moura of the MLB on Fox team to get his insight on this. Worked with the Dodgers for years, and now he's with us, MLB on Fox. So Pedro, first off, thanks for joining me, man. What's the deal with this Pujols signing? Were you a little shocked, Pujols to the Dodgers?
I was. It turns out it's a little bit more palatable for a 41-year-old to be a part-time player on a really good team than on a mediocre team. And so I think that's what we're seeing with the Pujols. He was not willing to fill this role with the Angels, but he's willing to do it here in Los Angeles. It's certainly surprising. It also makes some sense when you think about how the Dodgers value veterans and how they can find ways to incorporate players into part-time roles.
So what is their plan for him in a part-time role? Is he more than just a pinch hitter once a game?
I think he's mostly a pinch hitter once a game, but conveniently or inconveniently, depending on how you look at it, shortly after he agreed to deal with the Dodgers, Corey Seager went down with an injury, which opens up first base against lefties at least, where Max Muncy can slide over to second base and Gavin Lux can slide to shortstop to replace Seager. So it all opened up even better for Pujols, within 10 hours or so after he agreed to that deal with the Dodgers.
So I do eventually, I will get to Seager, but more on Pujols, it kind of seems like, based off of what you said, he's willing to do the exact same role as he would have had with the Angels. He just wants to win.
Yeah, I mean, can you blame the man? If you're going to sign with one team that has the best chance to win the World Series, and granted, the Dodgers have not started the first 7 weeks of the season like you want, but who would you rather be on if you want to win than the Los Angeles Dodgers? And so it makes a lot of sense, and it's also possible that he had to confront, only part-time roles being available as of this week when he became a free agent. So he did. If he had his pick of part-time roles, he picked maybe the best one.
Do you think he would have, first off, absolutely. Like you said, the Dodgers haven't gotten off to the best start, and they're still over 500 and right in the thick of things in the division. And clearly, I think still the odds-on favorite to win the World Series. So not a bad part-time choice. Do you think he would have rather gone to a team that could have used, just plugged him in at DH, let's say the Royals, or a team that is not going to contend, we don't think, at this point in the year, and been a full-time DH, or would he have rather been a part-time pinch hitting once a game kind of guy on a team that's going to win?
It's a good question, Ben. Pujols hasn't commented since the unceremonious release that the Angels bestowed on him. He'll be speaking to reporters later today, and maybe he'll shed some light on that specifically. But it's a funny thing, right? He hasn't been very good against right-handed pitching in recent years. It's just the truth of it. Albert doesn't admit that. Not someone who makes a habit of admitting his flaws publicly, but I'm sure he's aware of it to some degree, and he probably, I could see how he thinks this is a good fit for him. Where it allows him to focus on what he's good at. And the Dodgers pretty clearly see that too.
Do you think there was if he's fine with this role, because everybody when he first, was no longer with the Angels was saying, well, the Cardinals are out of the equation because they're a National League team. Do you think at this point, knowing he ended up signing here, that he potentially reached out to the Cardinals saying he was willing to be in a role like this? Because they're a good team and potentially could win that division for sure in the Central.
Yeah, I don't know specifically on the Cardinals and the potential fit and whether there was a reach out on which side. I do know that there's nobody offers more flexibility in their position player group than the Dodgers do, right? Paul Goldschmidt doesn't slide over to play second base some days, right? Like Max Muncy will play third too if there's a day off needed for Turner or something of that sort. So that's what the Dodgers have created for themselves with this flexibility with their the entire arrangement of guys who slide from position to position. So I think it's fair to say that if you were going to be a part-time player, LA gives you maybe the best likelihood of getting semi-regular at bats.
Yep, I totally agree. Pedro, thank you so much, man, for joining me for a few minutes to talk some Pujols, and I'm pumped to have you as a part of this team. So thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Of course. So Pujols is now with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Here's kind of my thoughts. I was shocked when the news came out. I thought for sure he'd end up at an American League team where he could DH a couple of times a week. But the more I think about this, the more it makes sense. You know, one, he wants to win. Two, he's probably going to get an at-bat every day almost. He will be pinch hitting a lot. And not only that, he'll get some starts. Look, the Dodgers are beat up right now. We all know it. So at least for the first little while, he's going to be getting some starts. Pujols will get to play some first base. Muncy will move over to second. With Seager being out, Gavin Lux moves over to short, which moves Chris Taylor out to the outfield. It makes a lot of sense now, and the guy wants to win. I totally understand that, and the more and more I think about it, the more and more I like this move of Albert Pujols going to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And who knows, maybe we'll get an NLCS showdown of Dodgers and Cardinals, and Pujols pinch hits and hits a walk-off homer to advance to the World Series, and it sort of be a poetic end to the career of an absolute legend. Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.